say a big welcome and thank you for being here. This mastermind is something that I've been quietly building behind the scenes for a little while, and I really we're kind of just now bringing it forward because I really wanted a lot of the pieces to be in place for to make this a true home for practitioners who want to serve the ultra high net worth families that they either already have or are looking to grow into. I want to help you have more structure, more confidence, and frankly have a deeper impact on the families with the work that you're doing. So before we dive in, I just want to take about 30 seconds to consider why we do this work, because it's a lot. So I'd like you to think of a moment when you felt so proud to serve a family. You knew that moment when you knew without a doubt that your work mattered and this is what you wanted to be doing. So about 30 seconds, and feel free to put it in the chat if you have some words that you'd like to share. Okay. Amazing. As I was reflecting on this question earlier, one of the moments that came up for me was actually has been pretty recent. We had the matriarch of one of our families pass away, and I was at the service. He never saw me, which was exactly what I was hoping for. It was important for me to be there. And about a week later, after things calmed down, he called and said, "I saw you at the service. I can't believe you made the effort to be here. I want you to know how much it meant to me over the last couple of months when her health was really failing. I didn't have to worry about the bills getting paid, about our staff being paid. I didn't worry about anything." That was a real moment for me that reminded me that it was this work that we do is really important, and I am so happy to be able to be here and be a part of that, and whatever I can do to up my game is what I want to be doing. And so thank you for allowing that quick moment of reflection to really consider why we do what we do. So that's why the Mastermind program exists today. We're here to help you multiply those moments of calm, of bringing trust, and really overall excellence to a family. So with that, let's get started. So if you're here, you already know that the families that we serve are very complex. Even when they say, we're actually pretty simple, there's, we just have a little bit here and a little bit there. It's never quite that simple. And on top of that, a lot of the models that we have all, I'm going to say, grown up with, were built out of a investment management model. That's kind of where family office has sat for a really long time. And so that model and other models that we've tended to grow up with, they were never really built with a family office structure in mind. They were built for an investment structure. And as we've gone and we've built White River, I've always felt like some of those models, even the mental models, were really kind of a round peg in a square hole. You could make it fit, but it wasn't quite right. It just didn't all the way apply or fit, or you needed to kind of massage it a little bit. And so even the traditional family office service model from a single family office really sometimes doesn't leave a lot of room for these additional administrative services to be structured. And certainly what the industry doesn't have a great answer to right now is how do you scale those, and how do you do that in a profitable way when you're not necessarily trying to have it be dependent upon an AUM fee structure. So this mastermind really was created to push those boundaries. We're creating new models that fit both families and firms, because let's face it, the way this works well for everybody is when a firm can do something really well, can be profitable at it, and the family can see the value to having those services performed. There's a lot of part of, I think, what we all feel sometimes on the specifically on the administrative family office side is we're trying to catch things as they fly by, and that's not always an easy thing to do. In fact, some days you're like, wow, that came out of left field. Great, how do we rearrange? How do we put additional internal resources towards this? How do we need to bring in external resources? How are we going to get this project done for a family? When the reality is that you're likely managing a much wider, you've got a much broader picture. You've got other families, and you're trying to juggle all of those things. And so quickly, what seems like it should be a pretty standard thing to go through can turn into chaos fairly quickly. Ask us how we know, and it can exhaust you. It can exhaust your team, and that's not a sustainable way to build a practice and always be meeting expectations for our families. So there is a better way. You don't have to figure it out alone, and so that is why this mastermind is here today. It is designed specifically for professionals who support ultra high net worth families, and or those professionals who are looking to add family office services to their lineup of offerings. We are trying to meet, I want to meet you where you are at. If you are already doing services, how do we help you go that much farther faster to have implemented very specific policies and procedures, and know what your scope of services are worth and how you're going to talk to your families? Those are the kinds of things that a lot of times we think we'll figure it out on the fly, and you can, but when very many of those softballs come in from left field, you quickly run out of time to be able to do that. And that's where you get into that rhythm of, your team is quickly overworked and trying to pull their hair out, and yet still trying to deliver this set of services. So bringing those things to the forefront, considering them now, is what we're here to do. We want to help you build stronger systems, help you build stronger communication structures, both internally and with your families. We also want to be proactive when we're working with our families. We don't want to be in that reactive state. Again, sometimes you get the ball out of left field, but in a lot of cases, if you can slow down to speed up, you can actually see some of those coming and be more proactive and get the right people in place, knowing that is likely headed your way. So this mastermind is intended to help you build those systems. It's also intended to be a place for community to be able to ask those random questions. I don't know how to do something. I need help. This just happened. Who's come across this before? In a lot of cases when we're in big groups, it can be a little intimidating to ask a question and get the whether it's real or not, get the look back from somebody else that says, "Oh my goodness, you're struggling with that? Oh no, we fixed that ages ago." And you're like, "Okay, great, but how do I do it now?" That was something that I wish I had whenever I was starting this business and we were trying to figure out how to grow our services and be better for our families. I got a lot of that in the various groups that I was in, and so I really had to work hard to seek out other groups of people and masterminds to be able to have an open conversation and be very vulnerable to say, I don't have this figured out, and in fact, I think I actually messed it up, and I need to figure out how to fix it. Those are the conversations that I want this group to be able to have to make it that much more meaningful for everyone who is here. So, as we go through the mastermind, the content builds on itself. And so we start with foundations, and then we just continue adding on top of that. It is meant to be an ongoing, continuous learning process because we are always learning too. And so, but the underlying thesis here is that as you go through the mastermind program, you are going to be building a repeatable process. It's not just a come and be part of the mastermind for an hour and a half once a month, get some notes, and then go back to daily life and think about it, but kind of forget about it. We are going through our systems in a way to help you build that, give you specific time to build those processes. We're going to go through how to onboard a family, so you can create your own onboarding plan. We'll share how we onboard our families depending on what services they're looking for, how we talk about an engagement with them. That's, I think, maybe one of the most nerve-wracking things in the beginning is you don't know what you don't know about a family, and it is so easy for them to say we need one thing, but then you actually get into it, and what they then come back with is sometimes 50 to 80% higher level than what they thought. And so how do you have those conversations that give you the ability to come back and say, I know we talked about it was 5 accounts, and this was the service, this was the scope, but actually you've brought in quite a few more things. Let's have a conversation about that. And so, not feeling that pressure up front to give a price before you actually know what you're pricing. So we're going to talk about those kinds of things. We're going to talk about advisor communication. And I know that a lot of people would say, we communicate with our advisors, with our outside advisors. We make sure the CPA has the 1099s and the K1s. We talk to our T&Es, attorneys. We communicate, we coordinate. We're going to talk about that advisor coordination framework, that practitioner coordination framework, in a little bit different way to build out a system. If it is something that's in your scope, and if it's not, that's perfectly okay. But how do you build that out where it is not really a one-off, but it's intentional and thoughtful, and it actually engages the other practitioners to become part of the process that you're running for the family. We're going to talk about pricing, because that is a hard one. It is a continuous question, thoughtful process that we also go through internally. So I will tell you, we probably don't have it right either. In fact, I know we don't. We've gone through several iterations. I'm feeling more confident about the pricing model that we have now, but it still has to reflect your services, where you're at in your process and what you're willing to do in that scope of work for a family. So we're going to talk about what does that mean, and then how do you support your pricing strategy with value to the family, right? Because if the price is what someone's willing to pay for it, anything, how do you support that price? By showing value. We're going to go through things like that. And then my hope is that as we're going through things and as you are seeing your policies and procedures built out, as you're feeling more confident about the scope of work that you're providing, that confidence is also going to come through where it's not just a, sure, we'll figure it out, but it is a true, yes, we do that. And let me tell you how we do that and how we're going to support you in this endeavor and how we're going to protect you in this endeavor. So those are the kinds of things that we're going to talk about and that we're going to literally build together along the way in the mastermind. So what's included? Every month we will have a 1.5-hour mastermind session. So this could be me presenting. I also intend to bring in some outside counsel who I think can deliver some of the content better than I can. So it'll be a mix between us. We'll have the session. It will focus on something specific for that month. The following week, which is not shown on this slide, but the following week will actually be what we're calling our design hour. So that'll be where you can join, and we are literally working on designing whatever we talked about that previous week. So if we were talking about how to handle bookkeeping, enrollment, or an onboarding, we're going to design that onboarding and enrollment together. That way you can ask questions. Hey, how are you doing this? Hey, I don't think I want to do that, so how would I word that? Or who should I have doing it? Do I have the right people to actually be doing this? Or is this a position that I need to actually consider hiring for? Or is this something that we should outsource? Those are the kinds of conversations that we can have in the design. And then the next week, we're going to have open office hours. And so this will be a couple of hours during that week that anyone can hop on. I will be online, and you can just ask questions. So anybody else who's on that Zoom will be able to hear your questions. Hopefully they're going to benefit from them, and it'll get them thinking about some other things, but we can have conversations there as well. We have a resource vault. So in that vault, we are providing some of our standard operating procedures, our templates, our playbooks. They are meant to be editable. They are a foundation for you to then build on to take back to your firm and implement, but they're there for a starting place. I always found that having something other than a blank piece of paper was really helpful. And so that's what we're trying to provide to you. I will also be placing articles and other things that I think are useful there for you to see. And you know, I love finding articles that are contrary to my thought process. I like them when they support them, but I like them when they give me something else to think about. And so we're going to be posting a lot of that kind of content to get you thinking and maybe help you think of something else that you hadn't thought of in the past. We also have a member community, so you'll be able to join in a conversation. Obviously, this is any time of the day or night, if you so choose, to ask questions. The goal of this cohort is to be intimate enough that we can build a relationship with each other of trust and be able to ask the question and admit, I don't know something. Can someone point me in a direction? Or I'm stuck. How do I get unstuck? Those are the kinds of things that I think are the most helpful and that I wish I had whenever I was, quite frankly, starting and building the company. So lastly, everyone who joins gets priority support, gets a couple of hours of consulting directly with me. This is one-on-one. So if you need help trying to figure out, hey, I actually have to sell this to leadership above me, how do I do that? Or this is what we have to start with. You know, what do you recommend, or what are we not seeing? What should we be thinking about? How do we staff these kinds of things? Those are really meant to be obviously focused on you and your business and what you need. So the cadence of the mastermind will be that the mastermind call will be the second Tuesday of every month, because I thought the first Tuesday might conflict with a few compliance things over the course of time. So we'll do the second Tuesday of the month. That third week, the week right after the mastermind call, will be our design studio calls. And then the week after that will be office hours. So my goal is to give you enough time to let it percolate throughout the week. Come back, let's design it, let's refocus on it. And then if you are, again, considering it, you're talking to people internally about it, come back that third week in office hours and ask questions. So obviously community, anytime, any place. And then we will be adding to the resource center. We talked about the SOPs and things like that. We'll be adding other tools and templates as well throughout the process. Again, trying to help you not start from scratch, just get a little bit further ahead, a little bit faster. So, this is, someone asked me, why do you want to do this? Why are we here? And other than the fact I've always wanted to share, I believe education is one of the greatest gifts that we can give to other people and to our peers. The other thing is there's not a lot of people doing administrative family office services right now, and there are a number of folks trying, and I think they are trying, but because we haven't necessarily had a definition of here's what this is, it's a little bit loose, and because of that, families don't always know or have a chart. They don't know what questions to ask to determine, are you the right fit for them? And so I want to help you build that, but I recognize that families are more complex than they've ever been. I think I said that in the beginning. The demand for this area of expertise is really exploding. I would call what we do sort of that expert generalist role. We're seeing it more and more that families need that expert generalist. They need that true center to be able to keep the plates spinning and push forward. So the reason that I felt like this was the right time to have a mastermind and try and push out some ideas and help others grow is I truly believe that if you're building the structure now, you've got that much more ability to hold on to those clients, but not just hold on to them, to truly serve them, but serve them in a way that you're also still profitable and you're scalable, and you're not the one staying up at night because did something get done? Did a family still need something? Rather than building it in the moment, get ahead of it a little bit and then market it and know how to value it. So that's really, really the main thing. I also believe that a lot of times we are reactive rather than proactive. And the more people I talk to, the more they say, that a family said, well, if we'd only known, we would have made a different decision. Or the CPA says, well, if I'd known that, we might have done this. Or, the T&E attorney writes something out and the CPA says, but that you just undid that. It's those kinds of communication that if we have proactivity around them, if we have some established guidelines for communication and protocols, we can do so much more for our family just by being coordinated and bringing people together. So I think if we can move out of react mode and into proactive mode, you serve your families better, you serve your companies better, and it's a whole lot less sleepless nights for you. So that's why I feel like this is an important time for us to bring this to the market. So what does that actually look like? So for this mastermind, the investment is $650 a month, or it's $7,500 a year. We do ask for a 6-month commitment because you need to be able to get up and running and see how that this is going to benefit you. It's going to take a couple of months to get in the groove of learn, build, implement. Learn, build, implement. And I want you to be able to at least get enough out of it that if you decide that month 7, this isn't the program for you, that's a-okay. But you've at least gained some of those initial foundation steps to start your own process and do more for your families. So if you choose to do the annual, you will get an extra bonus session consulting hour with me that's just us to help you with wherever you are at in your journey. So our next steps are getting started. So we have we are going to do an application. So it's not an exclusionary. It's more about fit and timing. We're curating this is going to be a smaller cohort, so we can ensure that we place people where they're going to benefit the most, depending on where you're at in your journey and what you're trying to build. So we are going to do applications, and I will flip over to our calendar real quick so you can see. We do have the first kickoff call coming on May 20th. That has really snuck up on me, but there it is. So we'll do 2 kickoff calls to get the mastermind going, the one on the 20th and then the one on the 28th. And then we roll in June right into foundation. We're going to be talking about services and which services might be important, might not be important. What does it look like to insource versus outsource? And then in July, we're going to start talking about how do you build those infrastructure to put that into practice in your business. August, we're going to talk about marketing. September, we're going to talk about systems, because you don't always have to add a new system to do this work, at least from a technology standpoint. Sometimes you just need to start where you're at and then figure out how to build on top. I don't ever want a system to be a barrier for somebody to come in to do this work if that's really how you want to grow. October, we're going to talk about how you communicate with the market, how you communicate with clients. November is going to be pricing. We're going to talk about how you show that value. We're going to talk about value all along the way, but that's really going to focus in on pricing. And then December, we're going to talk about reporting. So the 2026 calendar will be out in a couple of months. Again, the content is really meant to build on itself. So you're continuing to build your team. You're continuing to build your policies, your procedures, and your your confidence and how you bring this to your market moving forward. So with that, again, I want to thank you for being here today, for taking the time out of your day to join me. I created this because I wish I had something like it when I started, and I want to help others kickstart faster. So if you are interested in systems and tools and a thoughtful group of peers, I'd love to see you in the mastermind. Thank you for joining us, and happy to answer any questions.